Good evening, everybody. It's show number 88, and it's Sally Rogers, and the first song is called The Circle of the Sun. And this one goes out to everyone who's listening that was ever a baby. So. Oh, babies are born in the circle of the sun on their birthing day. Babies are born in the circle of the sun on their birthing day. Clouds to the north, clouds to the south, wind and rain to the east and the west. Babies are born in the circle of the sun on their birthing day. Babies take the first step in the circle of the sun on their walking day. Babies take the first step in the circle of the sun on their walking day. Clouds to the north, clouds to the south, the wind and rain to the east and the west. Babies take the first step in the circle of the sun on their walking day. Babies speak their first word in the circle of the sun on their talking day. Babies speak their first word in the circle of the sun on their talking day. Clouds to the north, clouds to the south, the wind and rain to the east and the west. Babies speak their first word in the circle of the sun on their talking day. Well, people get married in the circle of the sun on their wedding day. People get married in the circle of the sun on their wedding day. Clouds to the north, clouds to the south, the wind and rain to the east and the west. People get married in the circle of the sun on their wedding day. I hope to die in the circle of the sun on my dying day. I hope to die in the circle, spread my ashes in the circle of the sun on my dying day. Clouds to the north, clouds to the south, wind and rain to the east and the west. Hope to die in the circle of the sun on my dying day. Babies are born in the circle of the sun on their birthing day. Babies are born in the circle of the sun on their birthing day. All right, good evening, everyone. I hope you're doing well on this Tuesday evening. We've got lots of snow here, so Sandy and I just went for a nice little ski with Basil, the wonder dog, and I'm excited tonight to be featuring fellow Michigander Sally Rogers, great folk singer, great human being, and lots of wonderful songs that I get to sing. So I started out with Circle of the Sun. We sang that song at the birth of both of our children, along with all the other folks that were in the room, and it was a wonderful way to welcome them to our world. So, and one of them is on her way home from Maine. They left yesterday afternoon. We actually expect them sometime around midnight tonight. So hopefully Mairead, who is now 23 years old, had her golden birthday back in September, will be here shortly. So that's how things go. I love the fact that this song is a circle, because, you know, it starts out with the babies being born and people dying, and then it just all starts all over again. So like I said, this is a shout out to all the people that were ever babies. So great song from Sally Rogers, Circle of the Sun. All right, so Sally was born on September 19th, 1954. She's 66 years old. To my surprise, she actually was not born in Michigan. Her dad, Gus, otherwise known as Gussie, Rogers was in the Navy and was stationed in New York City. So she was born in Queens, but at the age of 6 months, they moved back to northern Michigan onto the farm and the cherry orchards that she sings about. So, she's basically a Michigander. All right. I've done some other Michiganders lately, so I'll just mention them, and kind of makes me proud since I'm a Michigander myself. The first one I did was Harlan Howard, the great songwriter. He was born in Detroit. And then just, I don't know, 3 weeks ago maybe, I did Bob Franke. He was born in Hamtramck. And then I just did Claudia Schmidt, maybe just, I don't know, 4 or 5 days ago. She was born actually in Detroit and then grew up in New Baltimore, Michigan. And Sally, of course, grew up way up in the Pinky of Michigan in Benzie County, the smallest of the 83 counties in Michigan. And it's a place that I've spent every summer of my life since actually before I was born. So I am very lucky to be part of a family legacy that my great-grandfather and his brother bought property up there in 1903. So back in 2003, we actually had a big celebration, the Wolf Family Pinecrest Centennial. There we go, 1903 to 2003. And there's a picture of Crystal Lake, which gets mentioned in the song. And tonight I'm wearing this shirt that says Crystal Lake because it belonged to my dad, who passed away about 3 years ago now, and he loved this next song I'm going to do. It always made him cry, so I'm going to try not to cry. All right, so I'll do this, and then I'll tell a few more stories about my dad and the cherry orchards and all that kind of stuff. So, all right, so I hope you sing along. This one's called Lovely Agnes. So won't you go with me? We'll be married in style, and we'll cross Lake Michigan, so blue and so wild. We'll cross over Lake Michigan till we come to the shore, and our orchards will blossom for our babies as they're born. Oh yes, I will go with you, leave Wisconsin behind, though my parents think a little of our life on a farm. But I'll leave the gay city life, we'll be buried on a farm. Then we'll watch the orchards bloom in spring, spend the winters warm in your arms. And it's Agnes, won't you go with me? We'll be married in style, and we'll cross Lake Michigan, so blue and so wild. We'll cross over Lake Michigan till we come to the shore, and our orchards will blossom for our babies as they're born. 3 children she gave him, Curtis, Eddie, and Dee. And the 4th child, little Gussie, came 10 years after these. And she raised them with a loving hand and with firmness of mind. She raised them through troubled times, Agnes, strong-willed and kind. Sing it with me. And it's Agnes, won't you go with me? We'll be married in style, and we'll cross Lake Michigan, so blue and so wild. We'll cross over Lake Michigan till we come to the shore, and our orchards will blossom for our babies as they're born. 30 have gone and passed, like the fruit on the trees. And her children have children with babes on their knees. And they all join in the summertime on the crystal lake shore to greet lovely Agnes, now 12 years and fourscore. And it's Agnes, won't you go with me? We'll be married in style, and we'll cross Lake Michigan, so blue and so wild. We'll cross over Lake Michigan till we come to the shore, and our orchards will blossom for our babies as they're born. All right, lovely Agnes, my absolute favorite Sally Rogers song, especially because of the personal connection. So, true to the story in the song, Agnes Challoner Rogers was born, I believe, Oshkosh, somewhere in the Fox Valley, and attended the University of Wisconsin here in Madison, where I live. She was the first woman at Wisconsin, first woman to ever get a master's degree in, I believe, chemistry. And her family were a little disappointed when she decided to join Gus Rogers, and go off to the hinterlands of northern Michigan, way up in the Pinky, and start a cherry orchard. But they did, and the rest is history, as they say. So my dad picked cherries in that orchard back in the day when he was young, and he also worked at the Cherry Hut down in Beulah, where they baked the pies made from those cherries. I followed in his footsteps. I spent a summer working at the Cherry Hut. I didn't bake pies. I was actually the sandwich girl there, so I made sandwiches. And then I spent 2 summers at a Smeltzer Orchard Company processing the cherries, and 1 summer I actually worked in the orchards with a cherry shaking crew. Back in my dad's day, you picked by hand, but by the time I was doing it in the 80s, it was more mechanized, let's say. So I pulled the tarps, and then you wait while the tree gets shaken, and then there's about 100 pounds of cherries that you're holding as it rolls back into the conveyor belt. So kind of a fun job until you get stung by a bee, which happened to me. So all right, everything about cherries. I do have to tell another story. I have a couple more that are going to connect this. You know, this show is going to go a little longer than some of the others, even though there's only 3 songs. Yeah, so let's see, which one should I tell next? So Gus, who gets mentioned in that song, Little Gussie, was Sally's dad. And back in the day, my cousin Ace, who is known by her initials, Alice was her first name, she was dating Gus, and apparently, I don't know, he was kind of into her, or there was a little tension or something, because he was so nervous that he, as they were, I don't know, leaving in his car, he thought the car was in reverse, but it was in forward, and he drove straight through the garage door and busted it out. And as my mom tells it, it's still like that. You can go see the from who knows when. All right, so yeah, kind of crazy. All right, what else to say? I've talked about oh yeah, a couple other things before I do the next song. One is that so Sally Rogers and Claudia Schmidt have performed together many, many times. I believe they've recorded maybe 2 or 3 different albums together, and I just featured Claudia Schmidt a few days ago, and one of the songs that they do I really liked. It's called Way Down the Road. It's a song about immigration from Appalachia up to the Detroit area in terms of jobs and World War II and the Willow Run factory that wasn't too far from where I grew up. So my band, Hootenanny, recorded this CD here, the Hootenanny String Band. Just happy to be here, and one of the songs we did on there was Way Down the Road, based on the fact that we learned it from Claudia Schmidt and Sally Rogers. Great song. So, and shout out to Prentice since he's listening, so and he knows that song. Another mention I want to give for Sally is that she's done a lot of great kind of social justice music and children's music, and in fact, one of her songs has been made into a children's book. It's called Earth Song. It's to the tune of Over in the Meadow, and it features kind of a tribute to all the different endangered animals. So it's really sweet. So all right, I have one more song. It was not actually written by Sally Rogers, as the other two were. It's a shape note hymn that comes from the kind of the gospel tradition. But Sally wrote new words to it. And to my surprise, when I looked it up on YouTube, I could not find a single version of Sally singing it. But I found choirs and performances of people doing it from all over the world. I think it's become part of the Unitarian Church tradition or hymnal. I just found some really great versions, and just kind of fun to see that happen. Similarly, with the lovely Agnes that I just did, I found versions of that where it's become part of the shanty sing and pub sing traditions, and people I think are starting to think of it as as an old as an old folk song. So. All right, this last one is called Love Will Guide Us, and it's really a very appropriate song for the times that we're living in, and I hope you sing along, and so. I first learned this song from Sally Rogers. She doesn't know it because I was just in a big crowd, and I'm going to say it was about 1984 at the Lydia Mendelson Theater back in Ann Arbor at the University of Michigan, and she was doing a show, and she introduced this song, and she taught it to us line by line and had us sing back to her. So I will never forget this song because it was she did a great job teaching it. So, if you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us. Peace has tried us. Hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the dark night. You are like no other being. What you can give, no other can give. To the future of our precious children. To the future of the world where we live. Love will guide us. Peace has tried us. Hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the dark night. Hear the song of peace within you. Heed the song of love in your heart. Spring's new beginning will lead to the harvest. Love will guide us on our way. Here we go, last time. Love will guide us. Peace has tried us. Hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the dark night. All right, Love Will Guide Us, an old traditional shape note hymn. I think it was called I Will Guide Thee, and then Sally put new words to it, and it's spread all over the world. So thank you, Sally. Great message in there. Just a few more things to say, and then end this tribute show to Sally. First one is just to say I got to hear Sally and Claudia perform together many times, and wonderful harmonies, wonderful songs, and humor, and hope. I think the very first time was they used to do a Mother's Day show back in Ann Arbor, and I remember going to see that. The last time I saw him was just a few years ago up in Benzie County. That was great at the Cabbage Shed down there in Alberta. So, all right. One more story. So when I do these shows, and this is number 88, I do like to do a little bit of biographical information about each of the artists, musicians, at least, birth date, birthplace. And for Sally, I had neither. There was nothing I could find on the internet. And so I decided it was time to enlist my Aunt Helen. My Aunt Helen lives on Crystal Lake in Benzie County, and she works at the Benzonia Public Library. She's been a librarian for a long time, and I'm like, if a librarian can't find this information, then it doesn't exist. So I sent her on the sleuthing, and but she couldn't find anything. She searched all the Benzie County birth and marriage and death records, etc., all the newspapers for the past, 100 years. She find no record about Sally Rogers. And I'm like, well, I'm sure she was born in Benzie County. I'm guessing approximately her age. I was wrong on everything. So, Gussie was there stationed in Queens, and that's where Sally was born. And then, before she even turned 1, she was back in Michigan, and that's why she wasn't in the record. So, but how did I find out that information? Well, my Aunt Helen was frustrated, as I was, and so she thought, well, why don't I just make a phone call? And so she called Agnes Slater, who's Sally's cousin, obviously named after her grandmother, Agnes, who lives just down the road. And Agnes said, well, I'll just call Sally and ask her. So that's how I got the information. So I just had to tell that story. And thank you, Aunt Helen, for your persistence. And there we go. All right. I think that's about it for the Sally Rogers tribute show. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you sang along. And thank you, Sally, for all those great songs. Who's up next? It's going to be They Might Be Giants. All right. So John Linnell and John Farnsworth. Is that how it is? Flansburgh. I can't remember how you say it. The two Johns. They are both, one of them 60 and one of them 61. And so they're coming up chronologically in my series. And the show's going to be on Friday night. I'm going to feature a couple songs that they wrote from No, their children's album that came out in 2002. Right when my kids were like 3 and 5, so it got played constantly. And so 2 songs from No are called Fibber Island and my favorite, Where Do They Make Balloons? And then I can't do They Might Be Giants without a great song that they didn't write, but they covered, Istanbul, Constantinople, it's Istanbul. So that's coming up on Friday. Hope you can join me. I love you all. I hope you're well. Take care, and be in touch, and I'll see you next time. Thanks a ton for listening and singing along.